But I know, Teresa, that there were some questions for you when we prepared the meeting. So we did a little bit of research about you, your life, etc. The students came up with some questions. So if it's okay with you, Teresa, I would like to call some of the students.
Sure.
Just a second. Okay.
I hope I can answer them.
Okay, so I think that the first question was from Giada. So Giada, if I can ask to unmute yourself. Thank you, Giada.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so I'm Giada.
Hello, Giada.
This is rather a personal question for me. So I actually wrote this down like last week. I had no clue you were going to make a small lesson on your tips, but like, here I come. As someone who reads a lot and would like to work in the writing field in the future, I always wondered how writers put down stories so flawlessly. Like, let me explain better. How is it that you come up with a plot, and how do you structure your story? Like, do you already know how you want the story to end? Or is it just a random process and you just think about what you want the story sequences to be like during the process of writing itself?
Well, I don't write fiction, so I don't have to come up with a plot. I don't write fiction because I cannot come up with a plot. I am not talented in that way. I don't have that kind of an imagination. But yes, you still have to structure your story when you're a journalist writing about real events. It's when you're writing nonfiction, it's how you frame your tale, how you frame the story. What I have read about other writers who do write fiction, and the ones that I have, whose interviews I have read or listened to, say that they don't know how the story is going to end, and that it happens when they're sitting at their typewriter, at their keyboard. You have to sit there and things will come to you. Or sometimes your plot or the ending of your story will come to you as I said, as you're getting on the bus or making breakfast or driving. Like, ideas come to me when I'm driving and I can't write then. I'm sorry, I can't help you too much with your question because I have never written a novel or even a short story, although I love to read them. And your English is fantastic, unbelievable, no accent at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Giada. Okay, thanks, Giada. So the other question was from Annalisa.
Yes, hi, I'm Annalisa. My question is, why did you start writing?
Well, I used to be a laser optics technician. That's what I was doing before I became a writer. I was a technician at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and they put me in a room, a cinder block room made out of cement blocks with no windows. And I looked around and I thought, there's got to be something better than this. And I used to like to read science stories in magazines, not science fiction, but science journalism, stories about what scientists are doing today. And I thought, well, maybe I could become a science journalist so I could write these stories too. And while I was working in this room with no windows at home, I applied to journalism school and I got in. And I came out and I was a science writer, and I went back to Los Alamos, but not as a technician. I was a science writer, and I interviewed scientists. There are 2,000 scientists at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and I wrote science stories for the in-house newspaper, weekly newspaper. That's how I started, because I was in a room with no windows and I needed to see out more.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Annalisa. Thanks, Teresa. The next question is from Josephine. Okay. Josephine, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, yes. So, hi, Miss Theresa, and I'd like to ask you what are the aspects of Sicily that you prefer more than New Jersey?
Oh, that's easy. Part of New Jersey that I grew up in was ugly, crowded, the air was polluted, the water was polluted, the ground was polluted with chemicals. There was ugly architecture, and there were nothing but stores, malls, shopping centers, places to spend money. I wanted to get out of there very badly, and I came to Vermont. But what does Sicily give me? All the opposite. It gives me beauty, people who, the Sicilians sort of lead poetic lives because I think you live in a poetic place. I mean, you have the beautiful Mediterranean, the stones that build your houses are 600 years old. You have volcanoes. You have 2,700 years of history for your biggest cities. You have the best food, the most beautiful language, the deepest traditions. I was in love with the Matanza. I'm in love with the mountain towns. I'm in love with the seashore. I'm in love with your big cities. I'm in love with the Feast of St. Agatha. You have traditions and history that we don't have. I love Vermont, but it's a young state. The United States is a young country. We're what, 200 years old. What have you got? You've got 2,700 years of civilization. It's a completely different feeling. I feel bigger over there. My heart swells. I cry at the beauty. I cry at St. Agatha when I see them run up the Cappuccini Hill. Unbelievable. It's just a much bigger way to live in Sicily. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Thanks, Teresa. Sometimes we don't realize how lucky we are. Maybe we are so used to have all this stuff around, and we don't realize how beautiful they are. Yes,
that's true. Think of the sulla. I think sulla it's red clover or hot pink clover that blooms now on the hills, like all around Santa Margherita. I went to work with my cousin one time. She lives in Santa Margherita, and she was working in a school near Palermo. And it was the time of year when the sulla was flowing down the hills. It was just so beautiful. I said, look. And she said, oh, we don't even pay attention to it. Now she saw it through my eyes and she started to look at it. It's unbelievable. It's like a hot pink foam coming down the hills. And then the farmers cut it and put it in their little 3-wheeled trucks and feed it to their livestock. It's unbelievable. It's like feeding beautiful flowers to the livestock, to donkeys or goats, whatever.
Okay, thanks. but it's true. I mean, it's as you say. Okay, so Sophia, next question.
Yes. First of all, good afternoon, Theresa. It's so nice to meet you personally, because I didn't know you before this, obviously. But I really love your energy. Like the way you interact and talk with us is just mesmerizing. So thank you. And my question is, how was your passion for writing born?
Well, it started slowly. I guess it was born because I love horses. And so when I was a kid, I would only read horse books. I think I'm on the altruism spectrum, I think a little bit, because I get obsessed with things. And I promised myself, I was a little kid, 5 years old, I promised myself I would only read horse books. So I would go to the library and read whatever horse book I could find. And there was a series called the Black Stallion series, written by Walter Farley, 4 children. I lived in those books. the black stallion was an Arabian stallion who came to America. And he was loved by a 12-year-old boy named Alec. I lived in those books. That's what made me a writer, because I was so moved by that writing. I wanted to be able to express myself and move others in the same way as Walter Farley. Probably if I looked, I still have those books. I won't give them away. But if I looked at them again, I might laugh. But I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old. Finally, what got me out of reading only about horses was I went to the library and I found a horse in a book about Greek gods, Pegasus. Well, then I started reading about Greek gods, and it was okay because there was a horse in the book. And then my interest spread out from there. Also, the other thing was I loved words. My cousin, who was 5 years older than me, taught me how to read before I went to kindergarten. And everybody thought that I was just memorizing the words, so they used to ask me to retell the story without looking at the book. I loved spelling. I was the spelling champion in my school. I know spelling is not a problem for Italians, but it is in English because nothing is spelled the way it sounds. Fright, F-R-I-G-H-T. There's, if in Italian that would be frig. So I was good at spelling, and then when I was older, I was good at grammar. And then I was good at writing tasks. We would have to go home and write about a quadro that we had, a picture. And we had to write a little essay about the picture. And I always got good marks on things like that. But I never thought about actually writing for a living. I didn't think it was possible. And it isn't until I was a laser optic technician and decided to go to journalism school. So it's very hard to make a living as a self-employed author, but you can make a living as a reporter or a dishwasher, which is what I did while I was writing my first book. So it was an inborn love of words that made me blossom into a writer after I read good writing, something that inspired me. So reading is what made me a writer.
Okay. So this is the process, reading and then writing, because I also think that reading feeds your soul, feeds your imagination, and this is when then you can start producing your own pieces of works. Okay, thanks, Theresa. Yeah. There's another question. Okay, from Sabrina.
I want to say, everybody I have talked to has wonderful English. Everyone so far. Unbelievable.
Thank you, Theresa. Yes, we are really very proud of our students. Thanks. So, Sabrina, your question.
Hi. My question is, apart from your grandparents, how are you connected to Sicily?
Even if I didn't know anyone in Sicily, I would still go back. I'm coming back, as a matter of fact, in the spring, because I love spring in Sicily. Because I feel connected to the earth there, the earth and the sea. I don't know why it is. And I have asked myself this question. What is it that makes me love Sicily so much? I think it's got to be the people and the land, but even though, like I said, it's the history, it's the people with big hearts. I feel comfortable and safe in Sicily, no matter where I go. People have always taken care of me there. And I've been to one spot on the island of Favignana, for example, where it's a little cove all by myself, where the water sparkles, and it made me cry because I was there all alone. That makes me go back. When I see, trying to think of other traditions. When I see Oh, people picking fruit out of their garden, or old men with knives and kitchen knives in their pocket, and they're out in a field cutting greens that they take back home and they wash and they fry it up with a little garlic and olive oil. And it's just wonderful. Just these little scenes that don't happen anywhere else tie me to Sicily. Plus, it's in my genes. I'm half Sicilian. So that must be it.
Okay, thanks. Serena, your question.
Hi, Mrs. Theresa. First of all, I would like to thank you for your time answering and listening to our question today. So it is really a pleasure and honor to hear you speaking about anything and everything that we need to know to become more self-conscious while writing. So my question for you is, how did publishing your first book change your process of writing?
It gave me confidence. Every writer, I don't think there's any good writer who feels very confident. I think we're all perfectionists and nothing that we write is good enough. I rewrite everything 100 times. But once my first book got published, and I got good reviews, it made me feel more secure. It made me feel, when I sit down to write, that whatever I have at the end of this day will eventually turn into something good, that it's not all garbage, even though it might start out as garbage, what you write. Like what I wrote today for those 90 seconds, that was pretty much fluff, but there might have been one idea in it that was worth developing. So that's it. It gave me more confidence.
Okay.
Why? What would you think would happen? I mean, did you think something else might occur if after I got my first book published? It was a big accomplishment because I had no connections with anyone. What did you think?
I don't know, maybe even like the process, like the schedule, like maybe before you add a lazier like process of writing, and maybe after, I don't know, you just put more time into writing, like maybe more hours per week, I don't know.
No, not a whole lot changed in that way. I still will procrastinate if I try to write in the daylight. I still have to get up at 4, make coffee, and start writing at 4:30 if I have a project. Maybe other people are more naturally confident, but I'm not. I think most writers are the same way.
So not a change in your habits, but only more becoming more self-confident that something good could happen. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Thanks, Serena. And there's another question from Victor.
Yes. Hi, Teresa.
Hello, Victor.
Thanks for your presence today.
Thank you.
My question is, how do you pick the characters' names?
Well, because I write nonfiction, I use the characters' real names. If I have to change the name, I tell my readers I'm changing the name for the privacy of my subject matter, the person that I'm interviewing, or the person who's in my book. I do name inanimate objects, though. In my house, I have a humidifier named Pidraya, because Pidraya is the Mayan goddess of the mists, and my humidifier makes mist. Greek gods and goddesses are good go-to. Sorry, I can't help you with that because I don't name characters.
Okay, so you use the real names. You use real
because
names.
I write nonfiction.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd like to give you some ideas on how to pick names, but I've never done it myself, so I can't give you any examples.
Okay. Okay, we'll see
Sorry, Victor.
yeah, we'll see what names the students who will work on the writing a story project will choose. So I will let you know what kind of names. Okay, are there other questions? Do you have other questions for Theresa? Other questions from either the tips or from her answers?
Our conversation.
Anything else you want to ask? Jad, I can see you thinking. I can see your eyes. Yes.
Do you have
Jada,
any book
yes.
recommendations?
Any
book recommendations?
Ah. Well, you are going to have to be reading children's books. But one of my favorite books is called West with the Night. And right now I'm having a senior moment and I cannot tell you who wrote it. It's a woman who wrote it. It was about growing up in Africa. And the way she writes, I wish I could write like her. Reading good authors, it sort of gives you permission to do that too. Whatever she does, I can do it too. Once I see that it's possible. I couldn't really write as well as her though. She's amazing. Also, I like Hemingway's A Movable Feast, in which he wrote about his first wife and life in Paris, 30 years after he lived it. And that helps too, I find. If I write about something that happened 10 years ago and I have my notes, the writing is easier because what's important floats up to the top, like ice or butter. The important things float up to the top over time. And things that used to have sharp edges get soft, rounded edges in your mind, and it's easier to write about them. So those are two good books that I love.
Okay. Thanks, Teresa, for the suggestion. Thank you, Jada, for the question. So are there more questions for Teresa? Or we can thank Teresa for being with us. Julia, I can see, yes, you unmuted yourself. Julia, yes, go ahead.
It's a personal question. How your parents or your brothers or sisters had react when they have discovered that you want to become a writer, want to change your life to become to independent at different jobs.
Right. Well, they were worried for me, but they were confident in me. I was a reporter at the Brattleboro Reformer. All right. They were proud of me. Let me answer your question first. They were proud of me and they supported me even when I quit my reporter job to report and write this book. I could not, in order to go to Favignana for a month every spring, I could not have a regular job because you can't leave your job for a month and say, sayonara, I'll be back in a month. I'm going to watch men kill tuna. You have to quit that job and become a waitress or a dishwasher, which is what I did. My sister, I have two sisters. And at the time I had my father too, who I was really surprised that my father thought it was okay for me to quit my job to write a book, because he was a very practical man and thought I should keep my jobs. But he had, I guess they figured they saw a spark in me and they thought, well, let's see if the spark makes a fire, you know? They took a chance, I took a chance. I was older, so it wasn't that hard to convince them because I was living my own life at the time. It might be hard for you to quit your job right now, but I know your job is as a student. My family supported me.
That's good to hear, because not every parents, not maybe our parents, they not gonna support us for our career, because maybe they wanted to for us the best, for example, a stable job, and know that you have money to take food on your table every day, but maybe sometimes you are not happy with your job. So it's great that your parents have support you with your decision.
Well, yeah, with my decision, they did not pay any money. And it's true, it's a lifestyle. I have lived as a poor person for a very long time, and I have learned how to do it well. It's true. In life, it's either money or time. Money or time to yourself to do what you want. Money to support your family. I stayed single. I don't have a husband to tell me when I should be home. I don't have any children who need me to pay for their sneakers or their college tuition. It's just me. And that is what allowed me to do what I want. I like it. I love it. I love being single and being able to, I live like a man. I can do what I want. I live like a single man. Or I live like some married men who live like single men anyway. It's fun to be independent and only have me to care about.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Julia, and thanks, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Okay. Other questions?
Palmina, excuse me, could I ask Theresa?
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So you've been always a determined woman, but have you ever had any problem as a woman writer? Have you ever been discriminated because you are a woman?
No, I don't think I've ever experienced sex discrimination. Maybe age discrimination. Maybe they thought I was too young, but not, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been discriminated against as a woman.
Okay. And Theresa is a very courageous woman. Okay, she goes out during the night if she wants to see something that she's interested in the night, and she's not worried at all. Or she goes for long journeys somewhere unfortunate or places you have never heard of, because she really loves what she does and she wants to experience herself. So it's not just a question of researching what she's going then to write on the internet, for example. She wants to try it herself, okay, on her skin. In Italian we say sulla tua pelle. So she has traveled a lot on her own, and she's a very courageous woman, very strong woman, I would say.
Thank you. And have fun. That's important.
Okay, thank you. So I think we don't have any other questions. Am I correct? Okay. Okay, so it's time for us to say again, thank you, Theresa. Thank you so much. I think you have given us a lot of ideas and food for thoughts. So thank you again for being with us. We will send you the stories that our students will write in the...
Excellent. I'd love to see them and read them.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We will do that. And maybe when you come to Sicily, if we have a chance, so we can meet in person with the students. So who knows, maybe we can do that. So Theresa, thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thanks, Theresa. And so I would, can we all unmute ourselves and we do a round of applause to Theresa. Ok, ragazzi, togliete il muto e facciamo un applauso a Theresa. Tutti pronti?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Vai, non vi sento.
Very good. Congratulations. I can't believe your English is so wonderful in high school. It's just amazing.
Thanks. Thank you on behalf of the students and of the school. Thanks, Theresa. Bye-bye, Theresa.
I will leave you now. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye-bye.